Hi friends and fans. You guys, you've been asking me so much about this generation thing, yeah? And I'm thinking, let me give you just a snapshot of what happens. Yeah? We have what we call traditionalists. These are the people who were born between 1925 and 1945, right? These are people who grew with strong work ethic and a lot of respect for authority because they grew up during the war. The wars, the world wars, the Second World War. And then now we have what we call the baby boomers. The baby boomers were born between 1946 and 1964. This is when there was a baby boom because so many children were born. There was a very high birth rate after soldiers left the war and then they came back home, and then I don't want to explain that, and then more children were born. So those are called the baby boomers, right? So the baby boomers had a bit of strong loyalty and so much discipline because they're learning from the traditionalists. And then after that, we have a generation now. We had Generation X. Generation X, these are people who were born between 1965 and 1980, right? These are basically what we would call BBC, or basically people who were born before the internet, people who were born before the website. They are born before the internet, they are born before the cell phones, but they also grow up to see the invention of the internet and the invention of the mobile phones. So now that is the Generation X. It ends in 1980. And then we have now the millennials. Millennials are born from 1981 to 2000. That's my age basically. And now the characteristic of the millennials is, number one, we really don't grow old. But it's not because our genes are different, but it's because by the time millennials were being born, so much has happened in skincare, so much technology has been invented in health industry and all that. So you find now the millennials are people who really don't grow so much old. And then now we have the Gen Zs, people who are born between year 2001 to early 2010, right? These are people who were basically I generation. These are people who have found smartphones when they were being born. They've seen all the technology. They've grown up with all that technology, right? And then now after Gen Zs, after early 2010, now we have that 2010 to 2020 generation. We call it Generation Alpha. Now this one is past Gen Z. These ones are enlightened. They just found